Welcome back, everyone. We are back here on the Chatooine, my friends. I've certainly missed doing the show, and I've missed talking to all you Star Wars fans. I took a small 2-week vacation in Orlando, but we are now back to our regular schedule. So welcome back to Chatooine, where we talk about the news, debates in the fandom, and simply just chat about Star Wars. A lot of gaming news has been released over the past week, and we'll be talking about the latest details on EA's new Star Wars game called Star Wars Squadrons. It also seems like Star Wars Celebration is up in the air and could be delayed or simply canceled. Ahsoka Tano's appearance in The Mandalorian Season 2 has gotten more details that were revealed this week, and Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes has been the topic of a lot of controversy over the past 2 weeks as well. All that and more. I'm your host, Star Wars Only, joined by our co-host, Darth Daddy Lunga, the Goldman. Welcome to the Chatooine Show, everyone. A lot of news to get to today, but first I want to start off with what's happening with Star Wars Celebration and if it's actually going to happen. And if you guys haven't heard, rumors have been going around the past week or so that Star Wars Celebration will be canceled for this year and likely rescheduled for next year in 2021. Word right now is that there's already a decision made on what to do about Celebration, and this was made earlier this week. I would assume by the top wigs over there at Lucasfilm and Reed Bach, I think it's how you say the company name, who runs these conventions. But no official announcement will be made by Lucasfilm until they have a firm plan. Potential announcements for Celebration would be, or at least the news that you would have at Celebration, because normally that's what they do at Star Wars Celebration, is reveal a lot of news and announcements for the upcoming Star Wars projects. I assume some of the projects we would get at Celebration, if it happened, would be the Cassian Andor series, Star Wars Squadrons, of course, by EA, the 2022 Star Wars film, Mandalorian Season 2, which comes out in October, and The High Republic. So the first question of the day, Goldman, should Star Wars Celebration be held in Anaheim, California, August 27th to 30th? Because I know we were talking about this not too long ago.
Should it be held? Probably not, unfortunately. The virus seems to be too unpredictable at this point. We still got ways to go, but the safe move is probably not to have it. As much as I want it to be a thing, because I was actually considering going for the first time, I don't think it's a particularly good idea. One thing I do hope that they do is follow the San Diego Comic-Con path, where maybe instead of rescheduling it, they do an online thing that's free, where they have like the panels and we can just watch them on YouTube or something. So I hope they do that. But yeah, I don't think it's a good idea to have it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a lot more risky to have it than to not have it. So I think it really depends on what Lucasfilm wants to do. Lunga, what are your thoughts? Should they do it on the 27th through the 30th in Anaheim, California?
No, I'm on the same line of thought. I think they should just, if they want to do it virtually, I guess, for the panels. It's a shame because the biggest fun is seeing people, meeting people. That's the biggest thing, celebration. But at least to give people, their fill of announcements or whatever, do the panels virtually. But I don't think you should have it, only because it's just everything, not even just, the quarantine we had, but all the other stuff that's been going on recently. It's just tensions are high. And I don't know if putting that much people, even if they're all fans of the same thing, in one place right now is a smart thing. I think things need to just calm down before we start going,
Fair. I've been kind of advocating for it to still happen in August, just because I'm the stubborn old man who, I don't like change. They announced Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim 2020 last year, about a year and a half. Well, not a year and a half ago. It was about a year ago, I feel like, on the day, because Chicago happened in 2019, April of 2019. And literally a month or two after we all got back from that and things kind of went back to normal, they announced the next Star Wars Celebration happening in 2020, August. So it was about a year and a half away when they announced it, and caught a lot of us off guard. So it's a little ironic that they're canceling it after planning so far ahead for this. And one of the reasons it really is unfortunate. What's annoying me is that they haven't announced anything yet, because this is now almost 2 months away, like about two and a half months away now.
2.5 months.
Yeah, and people have hotels. They have flights. There's a lot that goes into something like this. I think this is why I wish it would just still happen in August. I feel like it's just too late to cancel it. It's not too late to cancel it per se, because you simply can't come out there and do that. But I just wish they wouldn't, because I think Star Wars Celebration is a big deal for a lot of Star Wars fans. They do a lot of reveals for Star Wars Celebration. Last year it was kind of the big news thing for Star Wars that week. There were so many things that broke that week. Jedi Fallen Order, Mandalorian Season 1, the trailer came out, and there's a lot of news that I think really made Star Wars big that month, because the news cycle was dry for most of that year in 2019 up until Celebration really brought everything into the limelight. I feel like digital wouldn't be the best route to go, but Lunga, I want to get your thoughts. Will Celebration be delayed, or will it simply just go digital? What are your thoughts on that? Because they could delay it. I'll add this in. They could delay it till 2021. That's what some speculation has been. So should it be delayed, or should they go digital?
They'll probably go digital.
Really?
Delaying it, that's how I feel. I mean, delaying it, yeah, I guess they can do that. But, I mean, here's the thing. Is everyone going to be able to change flights, hotels for the delay? You know what I mean?
Okay.
Also, when will they delay it to? We don't know how long this whole virus is going to last. So say they delay it till April. What if there's a big second wave in January and it's still really bad? They're going to delay it again?
Yeah.
Also, I wonder if they were even planning on doing a celebration in 2021. I mean, the only time they've skipped was 2018.
They just skipped 2018 because of Solo: A Star Wars Story was so close to the timeline just was not working.
They have a movie in 2022.
Yeah, I say they have a
celebration.
Yeah, they have to do one for 2021. Celebration is not only a big revenue source for people like Lucasfilm, because literally they have Jedi Master VIP tickets that give you a lot of exclusive stuff. They normally go for $750 to $800 a pop. Those things sell out within less than a minute. The 4-day tickets, which is basically the average ticket to go to every single day at Star Wars Celebration for 2020 in Anaheim, those sold out in under 2 hours. That has never happened before. The demand for this was through the roof. So I think there's a lot of demand for it. I think they have to keep doing this because it is a big fan of it. It is a big community thing. And as someone who goes to these, I love them. Like these are like last year. 2019 was easily one of the best weeks of my life at Star Wars Celebration in Chicago. Chicago, as Lunga knows, sometimes not the best area at like 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning, but Star Wars Only still had a good time and a lot of good stories to tell from it. I would love to go to Anaheim and do that all again. My thing with the virus affecting this is that I feel like a new study came out this past week saying that the masks prevent up to like 33% of infections. I forget which ship it was they were doing it on, but on one of the ships, they had all the Navy guys. Some wore masks, some didn't wear masks. And the ones who, of course, didn't wear masks were more likely to get infected. So I think if they followed laws of simply having masks and trying to implement social distancing, that might help their case a little bit. But having... right now, at least in August, having all these people go into a big convention center from across the world, international people flying from different countries and different states, it doesn't seem like a good recipe for success right now for Lucasfilm. And I think the best course of action would be to, personally, I want them to delay it. I don't want them to go digital because they would have to do a refund on everyone's tickets if they go digital and the celebration simply doesn't happen. But if they delay it, they can compensate you for it a little bit and say, hey, we're going to give you a ticket for next time. That's how someone who has bought their tickets, I kind of want things to go, but
I think
it's different.
I think another concern of delaying it would be, as you guys said, they would have to have a celebration in 2021 regardless. So if they do delay it and say they were already planning a celebration in August of 2021, is it worth it to have a celebration in, say, February or March and then another one in August? At that point, you might as well just cancel it and make the 2021 celebration just the next celebration. That's why I think they should go online.
It's not a bad idea either, because what caught a lot of people off guard with this one being in August was there's no film in 2021. What we're getting right now that we know about in 2021 is the Cassian Andor series. What else is there? High Republic's coming out a little bit. We're getting
Mando season 3.
That might come out in 2021, but they would probably have to begin production in the beginning of the year, though, and we haven't had any indication of that. So there's a lot up in the air about that. I wouldn't be surprised if season 3 came out that year either, but it just seemed like this one, the one for 2020, we wouldn't have a lot to go off of for what's going on into next year, and it didn't seem like they could have revealed a lot, but I think both of you have kind of convinced me that this is going to become a digital thing. I don't want it to, but I wouldn't entirely be surprised. Any final thoughts on Celebration happening? If either of you want to go, would you be more incentivized to watch it on the digital aspect of it if they do it through digital panels because remember, Triple Force Friday was all digital, and I don't think that did really well. It did it for the Mandalorian season 1, Jedi Fallen Order, and then Rise of Skywalker. It was supposed to be a big event, and I think it was kind of a dud for a lot of folks.
Well, I think the celebration is a little different because that's a stream. That's an event where there's panels and you can watch people talk about stuff. There'll be announcements. Triple Force Friday, there weren't really any announcements. It was just releasing new merchandise. So I think if they were to do digital, they would get a lot of people viewing. I don't think they would do anything behind a paywall. Because even if you do it free, you still get a lot of revenue from people just watching it. It can be advertised. I mean, so you're not going to get as much money as physically having it, but you'll still, I guess, make some profit.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel the same way with it. I mean, personally, me, obviously, if it's available and they do it, and I have an opportunity to go, I would love to go. Mask, no mask, whatever, I'll go. You know, I mean, I'm a Star Wars fan. I haven't been able to actually go to one. So I would love to go. You and me were talking about it earlier in the year, remember? About seeing if I could possibly get out of here for it. So, I mean, I would love to go, but I just don't see it. You know, I think it's too difficult of a time. Everyone is pushing things off or making things digital. You know what I mean? I mean, is it optimal? No. You know what I mean? Right now, I mean, I think it's hard to compare it to the Triple Force because this is a different situation.
Yeah. The circumstances are very different.
Yeah.
What do you think about this though? Should it be on Disney Plus? Do you think that would do well in numbers instead of doing just like on the Star Wars YouTube channel? I think that's not a bad idea.
I think it's a good idea, honestly. Yeah. Not only that, it'll actually because here's the thing: like YouTube, it's only Star Wars, fans that are going to go there and look at it. If it's on Disney Plus, you'll have casual people saying, "Oh, let's take a look."
Yeah, family, friends, everything, and you can really control the audience, and you're actually getting specifically the target audience, would you not? Because that's Disney fans, and Star Wars is owned by Disney, and they're gearing towards families and whatnot. I think having Star Wars Celebration, if you're going to do it digitally on Disney Plus, would bring in millions of viewers, and even if it doesn't, who the hell would know about it? It's one of those things where Disney can really control the engagement, the audience numbers, and really see the demand for Star Wars at this moment. But let's go on to the next conversation. One of the big things that happened this past week was, well, actually not this past week, wasn't it today that they revealed Star Wars Squadrons?
It wasn't even supposed to be a reveal.
It was not supposed to be a reveal. Xbox leaked it. The next EA Star Wars game is set to release this fall. According to sources familiar with the game's production, Star Wars Squadron is an aerial space combat game about piloting ships and head-to-head battles. It features single-player campaigns, and the main focus of the game, Star Wars Squadrons, is on the multiplayer. So apparently the campaign is going to be a little short. The idea is to get players fighting against each other and other team battles featuring iconic Star Wars vessels. EA plans to release this game for PC and consoles this fall. Sources say that the executives at EA wanted a quicker release for these games. Projects like the open-world Star Wars game from Visceral were shut down for being too ambitious and focused too much on the story. It seems like EA wants a new game every year, so we're being told to manage our expectations. Lunga, I want to get your thoughts on Star Wars Squadron. I want to say Rogue Squadron, but Star Wars Squadron so far.
I was talking about it today on my stream, and everybody's like, "Yeah, it's cool." And it's like, maybe. I guess. And I'm like over here, like, "This is awesome!" And I'm excited. I don't know. It's just something about flight simulators, and because everyone focuses on Star Wars on lightsabers and Jedi and Force powers. But it's like, do they forget how integral and how cool the fighter pilot aspect of Star Wars is? I mean, it's just, if you think about it, what was the first Star Wars game, the arcade game? It was flying X-Wings. You know what I mean? That's what it's fun. And the fact that it's multiplayer, I mean, it's according to the leaks, it will have single player plus the multiplayer, and it's actually going to focus more on the low multiplayer. But if you can create squadrons and make your own Rogue Squadron, Red Squadron, Bronze Squadron, whatever, make up your own little squad of your friends and go on missions or fight other squadrons, I think that's awesome.
It reminds me a little bit of what they did with Battlefront 2, the space combat, and one of my video covering the topic, someone put, "Wow, they really took the worst aspect of Battlefront 2 and turned it into a full game." And I'll admit, I mean, it was funny. I didn't really like the space combat in Battlefront 2. I didn't hate it. I really liked the way it felt and looked, but for some reason, I feel like the mechanics just really didn't work well with me. So I'm hoping they improve this. Lunga, I share your views and your optimism on this. I would say I'm cautiously optimistic. I want to swing this question over to you, Goldman. Is EA finally getting the hang of Star Wars games? Because remember, after Battlefront 1 and mainly after Battlefront 2, there was a lot of backlash towards EA. It wasn't until Jedi Fallen Order. Everyone hated on EA. After Jedi Fallen Order came out and after the progress they've made on Battlefront 2, it seemed like they were doing the right thing. I want to ask you, do you think EA is finally getting the hang of Star Wars games with Star Wars Squadrons?
It's hard to say. I mean, we can't really judge the game until it comes out. Fallen Order was a success. I like how they handled Battlefront 2. That's only 2 examples. If this game's good, then I'd say more trust is being built with EA. I think people are a little too hard on this game. Because I know, as you were saying earlier, people were judging the game, saying they made it off the worst aspect of Battlefront 2. I think that's a little unfair, because if this game is solely devoted to space combat, I feel it's going to be much more advanced than it was in Battlefront 2. I think the maps will be bigger. You'll have definitely customization for your starfighters. There'll be more starfighters. I mean, if you just look at the image there, you have the U-Wing, X-Wing, Y-Wing, A-Wing, and then a bunch of the different TIE variants. As of right now, it seems like it's just the original trilogy era, which is somewhat disappointing. But even then, I feel like the actual space battles will be much larger and more fun than it was in Battlefront 2. So in that respect, I'm happy about it. I'm more focused on the single player, to be honest. And I'm not upset that it's going to be a shorter single player. Not every game needs to be 20 hours like Fallen Order. I just want a good story, but I am looking forward to this game. I'm not super excited, but I'm looking forward to it.
I'm also looking forward to it as well, and I share your concern about it being only in the original trilogy. And the reason I don't like the fact that this might be an original trilogy only era kind of game is because Battlefront 1, only original trilogy, like specifically nothing else but the original trilogy. Battlefront 2, the story was set in the original trilogy era, and we brought in a few other things, but still, story was in the original trilogy era, slightly after Episode 6, but we're still going to count it in that era. Jedi Fallen Order 1 and 2 are clearly in that era as well, and so is this game, it seems. I mean, from the picture alone, that's all they're showing is original trilogy era. Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of fans, like us, and in general, when it comes to Star Wars content over the past, since Lucasfilm has been bought out by Disney, over the past 8 years, we're kind of tired of milking this era, and I'm scared that this will add to it a little bit. But if they do better than Battlefront 2 in terms of the combat, maybe if you actually get to take out your enemy's ships or something, capital ships, and something a little bit with more of an objective. If it's simply just Battlefront 2, Starfighter, whatever, pulled over into a video game, I don't see a lot of fans being forgiving towards EA or happy with the game at all. Lunga, what do you think about it being in the original trilogy?
I challenge you with this question.
Oh.
It's always an original trilogy. Okay. I mean, when you're playing a game and you're fighting these forces, like, you really want to fight against a separatist? Do you really want to fight against the first one?
Hey, you remember the Starfighter game from like the early 2000s? That was a prequel trilogy where you played as a Naboo star pilot. That was one of my favorite games of, like, ever.
I feel there's more excitement when you're fighting against the Empire. It's just more exciting.
I agree. It's the most exciting. Yeah, I think it's the original trilogy is the most exciting era, but the prequel, the era is just really popular. I think also you got to keep in mind the maps. Like, they'll have the original trilogy ships, but I don't think they'll have like Naboo. I mean, what will they have? Tatooine. They'll have Yavin, the Endor for sure. What else? So I feel like if you want the other eras too, you can use those locations as well, whether it's in space or if it's just aerial combat in the city. Like, imagine the Battle of Coruscant. That would be so much fun.
Oh, yeah. Or having that many ships to actually fight against. I mean, with the scribes and technology that we've had with video games, one thing I'm hoping for this game, at least, is that it's going to be quite stunning, I guess is the word I would use for in the next generation of consoles with the improvements we're making with that. Lunga, I want to get your thoughts on this. Do you think Star Wars Squadron will satisfy the Star Wars fandom due to the reaction that we've already kind of had to it?
Nothing satisfies the Star Wars fandom. I mean, let's be fair. Nothing satisfies the Star Wars fandom. You're going to have people completely hating on it. You're going to have people completely loving it, and those people are going to fight with each other. That's just the Star Wars fandom. In a nutshell. But again, I'm banking on this. Like, the first thing people think about is Battlefront. Why is no one thinking of Rogue Squadron? Those games were popular, man. Those games were popular, and everyone's thinking, oh, it looks like Battlefront, or can't say it looks like anything yet because we haven't seen anything yet. Mm-hmm. Okay, we've seen an artwork. That's all we've seen. Okay, and I understand. Well, that's EA's last entry, if you will, into this kind of piloting, dogfighting, aerial combat was what we saw in Battlefront. Don't you think after they've done Jedi Fallen Order and all the stuff that happened with Battlefront that they might have possibly learned their lesson?
I would hope so. We have a topic later on that might counter that, and this is another thing about it. When the reports came out about this game from people who knew about the executives, they were saying that they made this game specifically to do a smaller release and fill the void between 2019 and 2022. That's 3 years without a Star Wars game for EA. Mm-hmm. This question I want to bring over to you, Goldman. Do you think it's okay to release a smaller scale game if it means meeting a yearly release for Star Wars games? Because I think that's kind of what they're going for right now. Having a game in 2019 like Jedi Fallen Order, and then filling that void between 2019 and 2022 with this game in 2020, Star Wars Squadrons, in order to keep the fandom active. Do you think a yearly release is okay?
I'm yes and no on this question. I am perfectly fine with smaller scale games. I actually really like smaller scale games. But if it means that they have to meet a yearly release, it always concerns me when dates are put before the progress of the game. So that's why I'm a little iffy on it. I hope they don't want to make this game just so they can fit a yearly release. I mean, that's what it seems like. But I'm perfectly okay with smaller scale games. I hope that they don't rush through it just to get it out there.
And that sadly seems the route that they're going with this. I remember when Jason Schreier talked about this game, the first time we ever even heard about the EA Motive game was in February. And the game is coming out in fall this year. We don't have a specific.
That's pretty soon.
It is extremely soon. There was little to no indication of this game. It seemed like a last minute thing that they were doing. They've canceled so many other projects. I've personally felt like, and this is what I said in my video earlier today, that if they would have just stuck with the Ragtag game, which is an open world Star Wars Scoundrel game made by Aiming Henning, which is basically the Uncharted series kind of version of Star Wars, if they would have stuck to that, a lot of fans would have been pleased for years to come, and something like this wouldn't have had to be made. And if this comes out with a $60 price point and fans truly don't think it's worth it, I think EA is digging themselves a little further into the grave than what they've been doing, and which has basically been digging themselves out. So last question on this game, Long, I want to get your thoughts first. I feel like I have the answer. Will you be getting Star Wars Squadrons?
Definitely, yes.
Definitely. All right. I plan on streaming it myself and playing it as often as I can.
I was going to say, we need to be a squad.
Yeah, all three.
I want you to come on. I want you guys to come on my Twitch channel and be part of the squad.
Of course.
Excellent idea.
The Chatooine squad. That's a squad name we'll go with. Goldman, are you going to be getting Star Wars Squadrons?
Of course. I'm still mildly looking forward to it. Even if I wasn't, I'd probably still get it because it's Star Wars and I'm a sucker for Star Wars. Mm-hmm. One last thing I want to say before we move on is let's see how the public opinion changes on Monday, because that's when the trailer is going to release. So we'll see actual footage, and maybe they'll change minds. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll spark outrage. So if we're doing this a week from now, then I think we'll have a very different discussion.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be for sure going live when that thing's popping off. I
think it's supposed to drop at 8 in the morning Pacific time.
That's 10 a.m. my time. It's good for me. I'll be up.
10 a.m. my time too, I guess. But I know they're doing the trailer on Monday, and then I think the full reveal on the 18th, which is next Thursday. So
it's EA Play. Is that what it is?
EA Play Day, yes, sir. Mm-hmm. So next Friday on the 19th, we're going to be back here on Chatooine talking, of course, a lot about Star Wars Squadrons. I keep want to say Rogue Squadrons Lunga. I just have to mention the reason no one talks about that game is because it is older than both me and Goldman. So yeah, a little bit.
Considering all my children are older than you.
Yeah. Yeah. So the next thing we can talk about, though, and I think Goldman, I told you guys a little earlier about this, is I want to know what your thoughts on Galaxy of Heroes. Do you think the controversy around that is going to affect Star Wars Squadron sales at all? Because there's been a lot of backlash towards EA right now, and I'll talk about that in a second. But I just want to hear your thoughts on this.
Who first?
Let's see, not Goldman, Lunga.
Me? Yeah, I watched the video. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not too familiar with Galaxy of Heroes that much, but from what I've watched, they seem pretty passionate about it. I mean, we are talking Star Wars, so
yeah.
Passion is the name of the game, whatever.
Understatement.
Yeah, but I gotta say, as far as the controversy surrounding, I always. Oh, and people can criticize me for this, but I always end up veering towards the side of the content creator because I feel like typically 9 out of 10 times they are picked on by the big entities. So I always am supportive of them until I hear otherwise. Yeah, for me, it's a situation with content creator versus YouTube. Content creator is innocent until proven guilty. That's how I see it. And YouTube's always guilty. Until
a lot of the times they are. If you guys haven't heard about Galaxy of Heroes, it's basically a Star Wars mobile game where you just get Star Wars characters, you grind to unlock crystals to unlock the characters, and they fight each other. And right now, there's been a lot of controversy over the mobile game Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, and it's surfaced over the past week or so due to developer Capital Games and how they treated content creators in the community for Galaxy of Heroes. The largest content creator of this game is Arnold T101, who ran what is similar to, I believe, what they call a test account. Let me see if I can put up his channel right here. And what happened to Arnold here is that he's using this test account to unlock and max out a lot of characters, which is very hard in this game, Galaxy of Heroes, due to the vast amount of crystals that you have to grind to unlock or to max out characters. And the account that this guy was using was a test one, and he used it to show the new meta in the game, and it was given to him by someone who spent over 50,000 real dollars on the game.
Damn.
Yeah, so Arnold used
a lot.
It's a lot. Are you shitting me? God, you know how much I could buy with 50,000? Arnold used, and this isn't even the money that Arnold himself put into the game. This was before he got the account. So the guy spends 50 grand on this account for characters and maxing out his characters and whatnot. Arnold gets it and still puts in money for a long time after this, mind you. No warning or reasoning basically happened, and they banned Arnold. Arnold used the account for a long time, and after reporting a bug in the new game update, Capital Games banned this account with no warning, no reasoning, other than what I believe is that his account was shared. You're not allowed to share accounts, but that's a very common thing that these people do in the community, and it's hardly ever enforced. And so a lot of people felt like they were targeting Arnold. And even after reaching out to the devs, Arnold reached out to them at Capital Games, and they didn't respond to him for 2 whole weeks. He had their numbers and all that. He truly was trying to be professional, didn't say anything for 2 weeks, and then this still happened. I also want to note that despite the account having spent over 50 grand on Galaxy of Heroes, it still did not have all the characters in the game unlocked, which there's no other words than I can use.
Wow.
Pure fucking disgusting on the side of Capital Games. I mean, that is appalling. That is disgraceful, and it truly is upsetting. Lunga, I have to ask you the question: has Capital gone too far in a few places by banning Arnold?
The answer would be yes. Understatement of the year. Yeah, I would say they've gone a little too far. Especially with how supportive, I mean, Jesus Christ. This guy is, I mean, they're doing nothing but helping them.
It's free advertisement. Like I said, this guy provides the meta for what's happening. In order for people to get these characters, you have to spend a lot of crystals, which require a lot of money or grinding. And we know how people don't want to do that. So the fact that this guy has been providing a lot of content for the fandom to look at a character and say, you can spend up to $2 grand trying to unlock this guy, or you cannot. Let's see how you really want to do it. he provided that content for them, and Capital Games completely took it away. I like this comment right here. Account sharing is very common, and even devs have used account sharing devices. There have been reports as well that they've actually been helping people who cheat in the game, and were a lot more willing to communicate with them than they are with people like Arnold, who is a content creator for this. Goldman, I want to get your thoughts. EA has worked on improving public relations since Battlefront 2. How could they let something like this slip through their fingers?
Now, I might be a little naive because I'm not that experienced with just video games and like video game drama. But it seems like a lot of the frustration is towards Capital Games and not EA. So I feel like a lot of times when there's gaming controversy, one side will be more to blame than the other. So again, I'm not sure what's the case, but are people really mad at EA? I mean, EA has to take some fault because at the end of the day, it is their game. But if EA, I feel like EA could make things better if they handle stuff better with Capital Games. So it's hard for me to say because I don't know the exact situation. So I don't know how much of it is EA, how much of it is Capital Games, how much of it is both. It's a little hard for me to say.
The reason I would personally kind of, I'm not going to put the whole blame on EA. This is kind of where I got annoyed with fans blaming anything a Lucasfilm employee would do on Kathleen Kennedy. Yes, inherently, since you are in charge of them, you do own up to some of the responsibility, and you do need to manage your employees a little better. I feel like EA, though, has been working on their public relations since the debacle with Battlefront 2 and the microtransactions. So you would think that over the course of the past 3 years, they would have tried to fix something like this. And it turns out there's a thing called EA Game Changers, I believe is the name, where basically if you're an influencer or content creator, EA gives you access to developers and, you know, stuff like Eckhart's Ladder, who get that and everything, popular channels. These guys were a part of it. The Galaxy of Heroes community had that. And then Capital Games is now the only company over there at EA that does not have the EA Game Changer anymore. It seems like they don't want feedback and they don't want criticism on their games anymore. And to me, it's quite clear because they have an unfair practice of making you spend, or not making you, allowing you to spend 50 grand without even giving you every character in the game. That is appalling. It's outrageous. It's disgusting. Lunga, it really is. What should Capital Games do in response to all this controversy? Lunga, I want to get your thoughts.
What are they going to do? They're not going to do anything, obviously, because that's what these companies do. What should they do? Reinstate it. Promote the man for everything they've done with for your game. Thank him. Give him a special character that no one else can have. Something, you know what I mean? I mean, I know like World of Warcraft used to do stuff like that. You know what I mean? They would like be thankful for people that would like.
Well, wasn't there that one guy, the red T-shirt guy, who came up, asked like a very hard and specific question about like the canon of World of Warcraft, and even the game creators were like, "Oh, we didn't know about that." And so he became like a wizard or something where like if you go up and ask him a question, he'd answer. It's very interactive with the community. I like this comment right here that someone, because we personally, all three of us are not very big Galaxy of Heroes fans. I don't think any of us have really played it over the past 3 or 4 years. But Meow Baka, funny ass name by the way, Capital Games does have a culture where they don't partner with content creators, even going the other way and being hostile at times. This is an EA thing. Capital Games chose to cancel that. And that's another thing. Yeah, that's another thing Arnold brought up, is because they even threatened legal action against Arnold in the past because he made some memes or something. He was just basically being edgy for meme reviews over Galaxy of Heroes, and kind of talking smack about it a little bit. It seems like Capital Games is I don't know how to put it. Soft, salty is a good word to put around it. I just think that stuff like this shouldn't continue to be a problem in the Star Wars community, and it feels like it's not going anywhere, and it hasn't for a while now. That's one thing. I do want to ask you, Lunga, how do we as a Star Wars community find ways to solve these problems in Star Wars? Because it's been a thing for a while. We've had this with Battlefront a little bit, the controversy around that. We've had, at least YouTube-wise, there have been content creators who felt like they were singled out by Lucasfilm and copyright strikes on certain things that didn't need to be copyrighted. I mean, there's been a history of this stuff. Is there a way that the community can kind of come together and solve this problem?
If there's ways the community has come together to solve other problems, I would say yes, but I Star Wars community is so splintered. There's no real unity, and I don't think anyone would listen because I mean, from the sounds of it, you know, I don't know much about Capital Games too much, but from what Miyabaka said, I mean, it sounds like they're not going to listen anyway. It doesn't matter what they do. You know what I mean? I mean, I would say, if you're a fan of Star Wars, if you're a fan of the game, especially, or you want to help out, go give the guy views, go give the guys subscribe, you know, talk on Twitter, hashtag it. You know what I mean? Just support the content creator. You know what I mean? Because you're not going to change their mind, but if you expand the voice of the content creator, you know, maybe one day that can change some stuff.
Goldman, thoughts on it? Should we do something to change it?
I kind of disagree with you, Lunga, because even though the Star Wars fandom is very divided, if you look at something like Battlefront 2, yes, the Star Wars fandom as a whole was very divided, but the fan base of that game really helped, I guess, keep it alive. So I think the most important people that need to come together are the Galaxies of Heroes community. Like people like me and a lot of these other people that don't play Galaxies of Heroes, I don't think our voices particularly matter as much as those who are passionately in the community. I feel like if those in the community come together and kind of agree that these are poor practices, then maybe things will change. But I don't think the others like us don't matter as much.
I will counter that with one thing because people are talking about EA after Battlefront. And there's a significant thing with that it's a game changer. Their contract was coming up. Okay, so let's say EA had 20 years left on their contract. Do you think they're going to care what we say? They made those changes because they knew there was a good chance they might not get the contract re-upped again. You know what I mean?
When's the contract up?
2023. They made it in 2013. It's a 10-year exclusive deal, and it only applies to action kind of based games like the ones we've gotten. That's why
Lego games are coming.
Yeah, that's why the Lego games are coming out as well this year.
Well, by that logic, Battlefront 2 came out in 2017, so that's only 4 years into their deal. They had 6 years left, and they still put a lot of effort to change the game around. So maybe if they had 20 years left, they won't put that much effort, but I don't know.
I don't think the 2017 Battlefront thing was something that EA did because of the deal. I think they did that not only because of the deal. I think they did it because Disney themselves came down and said, "Hey, you are really messing things up," because it was a huge debacle and it changed everything. And so they kind of they almost had to force their hand to do it in that sense from the outrage that the Star Wars community have. And I like what Skid put here. This
I was going to say that too.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah,
$50,000, holy S. I mean, there's a lot of crap that goes into making those Star Wars games that a lot of fans don't like, and we felt like we've improved a lot with Battlefront 2 because of the response that EA has. So the fact that something like this, I would argue, this is even worse than the Battlefront 2 debacle. Because this is, you have to spend a lot of money just to get, it's microtransactions times 3. It's on steroids. It's not a very good look for them. So I would go ahead.
I want to clarify what I was saying. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do anything. Like, I think it's important for us to at least speak out somewhat against Capital Games. I'm just saying that I think it's most important that the community of this game speaks out the most, because I feel like they have the most say, and they're the ones that can make a real difference.
Yeah.
They are. And one thing I wish they would do that I'm not sure they have or haven't yet is I wish they would actually just boycott the game and go to the game and be like, hey, we're not playing Galaxies of Heroes anymore. We're not downloading it or anything. We're just basically have a massive protest. Vote with your wallet, if you will, is what I always say. I feel like if you do that, you will get a response from the developers over there at Capital Game. They're almost going to have to say something eventually.
Here's the problem I have, because you said it's a mobile game, right?
Yes.
I'm going to tell you right now, biggest chunk of the downloads aren't even Star Wars fans. They're just people playing mobile games. I want to be honest with you. So, could it make a difference? Probably. I'm not saying you're wrong. It could. And I definitely say if you feel like you want to do something, that's the best way to do it. Vote with your wallet.
Yeah.
This is just my personal opinion. I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference, a dent in it overall. I think a lot of those downloads are just casual people just playing bored. They want to play something when they're in the waiting room with their dentist, or they whatever.
I don't think it's a bad theory. I remember reading somewhere that Star Wars Galaxy of the Heroes, after I forget how long, reached like up to 80 million players, which Jesus, but a large part of their money is going to come from those microtransactions. But my God, 50 grand to not even unlock all the characters, that's preposterous. I mean, there's nothing you could ever say to defend something like that on your side.
One last thing I want to say, I can disagree with you, Lunga, because even though the majority of the people that have played the game maybe aren't as passionate as others, I mean, this might not be a great example, but when you look at something like the Snyder Cut, I mean, how many of the people who saw that movie actually care about there being a Snyder Cut? But enough of the fans made a difference. Now, I know that's on a much larger scale than this.
Yeah, that's a big movie, not a mobile game.
Yeah,
that's fair. But if the people that play this game are really passionate about it, if they have their voices heard, I think it can make a difference.
Yeah, I get you. I mean, maybe people are probably going to get angry at me. I never say they're not gamers, but they're mobile gamers. Let's just
I will kind of agree with you a little bit, Lunga. As someone who I don't feel like I'm that big of a gamer anymore. I've lost interest in a lot of video games that have come out over the past few years. I think one of the best years ever was 2011. Skyrim was coming out. The new Grand Theft Auto was about to come out. There was a lot of good times in gaming history that I've had and a lot of great memories with games. But with the rise of mobile gaming, I feel like the entire gaming market has changed because of it and the way that they make their money. And it's not entirely for the better. Things like Candy Crush led to things like Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And it's one thing to say that we don't like the practices they use, but no one put a gun to the guy's head and said, you got to spend 50 grand on this free mobile app. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that he spent that and got no characters. It's also ridiculous that anyone would spend that on. Do you know how much someone put earlier, how many things I could buy with 50 grand?
I look back on this whole thing with my YouTube channel and the fact that I've spent over the last 6 months $1,500. I'm like, that's a lot of damn money. And that's stuff that's like, it's still mine, at the end of the day. You know what I mean? 50 grand on a game?
That really has no value. I hate to say it has no. I mean, what did you get from it? Some good memories?
Yeah. For you, 5 years from now, when a mobile game is not played anymore, what do you get from it? I mean, well, hold on. Let me roll that back. He is a content creator. How big is his channel?
155,000 subscribers.
Okay. So I mean, he is making money off the channel.
He's probably making. I've seen his little setup. I'm not gonna lie, not a huge fan of everything of the gimmick he's got going, but I respect the hustle. He's got a nice setup and puts a lot of production value into this. And I mean, let's look at his upload schedule. He's doing it on a bi-daily basis, it seems. So I mean, he's an integral part to that community, and that game is an integral part to his source of revenue. Would I recommend going for something that specific like a game? No, but
I would. You're right. Exactly.
But I mean, the guy clearly has done better than all three of us combined with YouTube because of what he's doing. So props to the guy. But I also think that he had multiple accounts, and like you said, Lunga, it's a mobile game. You get what you pay for, and sometimes you don't pay anything. Meow Baka made a decent point. I think you guys might have misheard. Without a doubt, 50K will get you every character in the game. The only character you may not have are a few that are unlocked via special events / mods. Well, that's the point, though. The only characters that you may not have are the few that are unlocked via special events. That shouldn't be the case. I shouldn't have to spend 50 grand to get to the level that they were at.
If I'm paying 50 grand, I want to have a character that nobody has. I want in the center of the town, planet, galaxy, a statue of me that everybody walks by that says Darth Daddy Lunga was here. Okay. If I'm paying 50 grand, I want my name to echoes for eternity in this game. If I'm spending 50 grand,
make a character of you.
Yeah, if I'm spending 50 grand, I want a George Lucas character that only I can have, and he's a god tier level. He can't be beat. Any final thoughts?
Hold on. In reference to him, now would be a good time to play that clip.
Oh snap! It's always
spent $50,000, and
I may have gone too far in a few places.
I mean,
that's perfect.
That's something. You know what? Right hand of God. I wonder if Lucas was the one to spend 50 grand. I wonder if like his son Jet was like, "Hey, Dad, I really like this game, Galaxy of Heroes, but I need 50 grand to unlock Darth Revan." And George's like, 50 grand, or what? That's like $5 for me. All right. George Lucas uses 50 grand for toilet paper every morning. That's nothing to that man. You've seen how that man dresses. Look at him in this little clip.
That's great.
It's gonna be great.
That's gonna be great.
It's gonna be great.
That's gonna be great.
Right hand of God, that man has worn that shirt for the past 25 years. He is one frugal some bitch, let me tell you.
And since we're talking about Lucas and the shirt, because we're not gonna spoil it yet, but I want to let everyone know we're watching this show. I haven't even told Goldman yet. Me and Star Wars Only, we talked about it. There's a little surprise that's going to be coming soon, in the next couple weeks. I ordered something, and it's gonna be a little surprise on the show for you guys. In a few weeks,
and we'll be having a special guest that day too.
Yes, exactly.
I don't know about this.
Well, as we say in the industry, we're quite optimistic about it, and personally,
That's great.
It's gonna be great.
That's gonna be great.
It's gonna be great.
That's gonna be great.
Excellent.
it is definitely going to be great. So on to like the kind of last little topic for today's video, the Mandalorian season 2. Mandalorian season 2 had a lot of cameos leaked last month. A lot of we've had some news this week. We have a little bit more information about the upcoming season. A lot of Disney Plus projects have been delayed in recent months, but Jon Favreau, the creator of the Mandalorian season, has confirmed that COVID will not delay the release of the Mandalorian and that it's still slated for an October release. Which, thank God. I mean, big props to the people over there at Lucasfilm and ILM for that. But season 2 is also reportedly bringing in a lot more action compared to the first season. Recently, Collider confirmed that the second unit director for The Mandalorian is a man named Sam Hargrave. And if you don't know who this guy is, he recently made a movie called Extraction with Chris Hemsworth. It's on Netflix. I think it's a very good film. But what's his name? Sam, he's a stunt coordinator, and he's done a lot of work for the Marvel films like Infinity War and Endgame. And his movie Extraction was a lot of action-packed fun. I enjoyed it. And I want to get your thoughts, Lunga. What do you think about them bringing in this new guy, this new stunt coordinator for season 2 of The Mandalorian?
I mean, Extraction, I did watch it. It was spectacular. I mean, The Mandalorian, stunt-wise, is great already. So the addition of him, it's just going to make it so exciting. And I got to tell you, I was watching the last episode of the galleries today, and it was about the music and everything. And I enjoyed the music during it, but especially watching that, I couldn't believe how excited it made me get. I get like these feels every time I was listening to the music, you know what I mean? And I started thinking about the scenes and stuff that was going on in it. And so this is exciting. I like the fact, anytime you get any kind of new stunt stuff, new people that bring a new vision to how characters move, react, and do things in a show, it's always a positive.
Yeah. Goldman, what do you think about bringing in more action? This legendary stunt coordinator, Sam, to Mandalorian season 2?
I have full faith in Jon Favreau that more action is not going to compromise the story. So I only see this as a positive. As Lunga said, the action in the first season was already great. So I'm looking forward to being even better. A lot of interesting fight sequences. Maybe with the Darksaber, they'll do some stuff. We'll see.
Oh yeah, I could imagine doing something quite good with that. I do want to touch a little bit on the cameos before we get into the last little bit of information we'll talk about for today's show. Zach Briggs, big fan of the channel, big shout out to him. He says, "What are your thoughts on the oversaturation of known characters making an appearance in Mandalorian season 2?" I believe we talked about this in our last episode. Is that they might be doing a little bit too much with the Mandalorian. Yeah. Sabine's supposed to make a cameo. Ahsoka's supposed to make a cameo. Who else is there? Bo-Katan is supposed to be
everyone.
Boba Fett. Rex is in there. Like we've said many times on the show, all three of us are making a cameo in the Mandalorian season 2. Right hand to God, I've been there, and I think you guys are gonna.
So is Claude.
Claude's in it too. Yeah, that's news to me. Breaking news here, guys. Claude is in the Mandalorian season 2. If I do not see this exploding up on Twitter, I'm going to be outraged. But yes, Claude is in season 2. Everyone's in season 2. Rumor has it even George Lucas is making a cameo in season 2. Goldman, do you think that there's oversaturation of the characters in season 2, even though we haven't even seen it yet?
Again, it's still all rumors, so we don't know for sure that these that these characters will be there. It's a little concerning, but at the end of the day, I do trust Jon Favreau to make the right decision. If this was the first season of something and it was with a creator that I wasn't familiar with, and I might be more concerned. But I don't see Jon Favreau compromising the story just to bring in all these characters. I feel like if he's bringing them in, they're going to be there for a reason. And also, the rumors are that they're all going to be cameos, with the exception of Boba Fett, I guess. I don't even know. Yeah. So if they're all cameos, like I can see Rex, Ahsoka, Sabine, like all the Rebel characters just showing up at once for like one sequence. Like the Ghost flies in and they're like, "Hey, Mando." So if it's something like that where they all show up at once, it's not going to be that bad. I won't even say bad. It's not going to be a problem. Mm-hmm. I hope that all these characters don't play a big role in the series.
Yeah, I agree. I want to give a quick shout out to Meow Baka. He put Star Wars Only Discovery Channel maybe 8 months ago. I'm not that big of a Star Wars guy and never caught a live stream by chance. I turned in and got to enjoy the Galaxy of Heroes chat. Thank you for stopping by, my friend. And also, thank you very much for the super chat donation. I'm going to bolt, but thanks for all the content. Really enjoy the videos you put out. Thank you very much for the super chat. It is much appreciated, but not needed. Thank you so much for doing that, my friend. I do want to go on to the action about Mandalorian Season 2 because there is a little bit of a rumor, and I wouldn't even say rumor, some news that was revealed yesterday about Ahsoka's role in the live-action version of The Mandalorian Season 2. Ahsoka appears in The Mandalorian Season 2 as a cameo, but I think she's going to do a little bit more from this news. She was doing a lot more than just saying hello. News report says that she's going to bring a lot of action to the table. And this next bit does contain spoilers, so if you don't really want to get mild spoilers for Season 2, here's your warning. But here's what the cameo of Ahsoka is supposed to be like when Rosario Dawson shows up the player. It says Ahsoka will be wearing a dark gray hooded robe and have a look much more similar to her final appearance in the Clone Wars than her Gandalf the White appearance at the end of Rebels. Even though that was the last time we saw her in the canon timeline before The Mandalorian, she will likely first appear with the hood. But oh, fear not, her famous little head tail things will be on full live action display during her appearance on the show, as she will be removing the hood. And it says many have speculated if we'll see Ahsoka use a lightsaber in The Mandalorian. And the answer is yes. She will be wielding a blue-bladed lightsaber. We could not confirm whether she'll have a second lightsaber, but we speculate she will. It's possible that a second saber should be a different color, but the significance of her having a blue lightsaber, not white, would lead us to believe that she has in some ways, once again, embraced the ways of the Jedi. So expect her to be igniting at least one blue lightsaber in the show. And this last bit they have on that is that continuing off the details of her lightsaber, Ahsoka isn't showing up in a giant cloak to stand and look up at someone for 30 seconds and leave. She is coming to fight. In our discussion with our contacts, we've got the feeling that she gives off a Luke Skywalker vibe at the end of The Last Jedi in sort of a face down the First Order with a laser sword sort of way. I don't think that she'll be doing force projections in like the First Order scene. We've seen Ahsoka walk away from the Jedi Order in the past, but if she's once again embracing the religion, her arc may mirror that in some sort of manner. What do you guys think about this? Lunga, I want to get your thoughts on Ahsoka showing up. Do you think this is the best way for Ahsoka to make her live action debut?
I'm the center in this. I really like Ahsoka. I don't think there's gonna be any other characters come in. I don't think there's gonna be a problem with those characters. I don't think it's oversaturation. We don't know how they're going to be used yet. So just assuming oversaturation because we have characters doesn't mean it's a problem. And we're not getting Boba Fett. I'm telling you right now, I'm going on the record right now. It's not Boba Fett. It's going to be what we read those reports about with Timothy Oliphant's character, where he's that sheriff character.
Cobb Banks is his name. Yeah.
Yes. It's not going to be Boba Fett. They're going to tease it like you think it's Boba Fett and you find out it's him. It's not Boba Fett. And Tamura Morrison is probably going to be Rex or a clone trooper, most likely Rex in some way. Considering the link between Ahsoka and Rex, that makes sense. Considering we saw Ahsoka leave with Sabine looking for Ezra, that makes sense. Bo-Katan, considering the dark saber reveal, that makes sense. And then you tie in the Siege of Mandalore, all of them make sense. So it plays into the story that's being set up. So don't look at it as just like, oh, fan service, they're just throwing things in that don't make sense. They actually all make sense. When you look at what we saw with the Siege of Mandalore, all of those puzzle pieces go together. So I'm excited to see it. Now, how they portray these characters and how they do them, that's yet to be seen. So we'll find that out when we see it.
All right, Goldman, I want to get your thoughts on Ahsoka showing up in season 2. Is this a good way for Lucasfilm to test the audience reaction to her in live action? Because that's something else that this report says. They say that I don't think Ahsoka will have a large role in The Mandalorian, but I do think Lucasfilm will use her appearance as a pseudo test run with audiences to see how they receive her in live action. They will use the limited time she is shown in the show to showcase as much of the character's look, personality, and physicality they can to gauge how to use her in the live action moving forward, which includes a rumored series of her own. And there's also saying that you wouldn't really cast Rosario Dawson as a live action Ahsoka just for a quick fan service cameo. So do you think using Ahsoka's cameo is a good way for Lucasfilm to test the audience reaction to her in live action?
Definitely. Even though I don't particularly want her own live action show, if they're going to try and do it, then having her have a minor role in The Mandalorian is a good idea. And one other thing I want to mention is, and this is probably not a popular take amongst people here, but if you mention that it's going to be similar to Luke at the end of The Last Jedi, that makes me very excited. But I have such a nerdy nitpick that's completely irrelevant. So the rumors are that she's going to have a blue lightsaber. Again, as a Rebels fan, what happened to her white ones? And you can't just change the color of a lightsaber like that. Like the way you get your lightsaber color is it's originally you bond with it and then you get your color. And the reason why Ahsoka's are white is because in the Ahsoka book, she healed a Inquisitor's lightsaber crystal, just some nerdy lore. Yeah. So if they're like, oh, she turned her lightsaber crystals blue, I'm not going to care, but my inner nerd is just going to be like, that's not how that works.
Well, maybe they don't, because they always try to be as specific about this stuff as possible. Remember, this is Dave Filoni, and he is the one most likely in charge of this Ahsoka return. I'm pretty confident he has an answer for that. Of maybe it's the saber she got from Anakin. I feel like timeline-wise, even though we're going a little bit out of order with how everything works, where we saw Ahsoka in Rebels in the chronological timeline, but in our timeline in terms of release, the last time we've seen her is with a blue lightsaber in Clone Wars season 7. So I think them using her in season 2 coming out this October and showing a blue lightsaber will add a bit of familiarity to the character than what she ended with in Rebels. And for people who are like us who have seen Rebels and know how the story ends in that, we can also look at that and go, wow, she's really changed since then. What's happened between her between ending of Rebels and the beginning of this? So a lot of possibilities there with the return of Ahsoka.
And on that note too, I see as far as the reactions, the audience reaction, testing it. I really feel they're not going to go too deep into what's been going on with her. They're going to cameo her, test the reaction, see if it works, and then if they do make their own series, they will be flashbacks or scenes talking about her history, her talking about history. It's going to explain all of that end of Rebels to now kind of Ahsoka. So I think that'll be part of her show should it happen.
Well, that's the next question that we have, Lunga, is should Ahsoka get her own live action series? do you want that to happen? I mean, I think Goldman said himself he personally isn't into this, and this will be the last question we have for the show today. But what do you think about Ahsoka getting her own live action show? This is the one that's in.
Yeah, I heard Goldman. I've seen your videos. Yeah, I want to see it. I don't care. I'm a whore. I don't care. Just give me whatever. Give me whatever I'll take it. Just give me whatever you got, and then I'll decide if it's good or not afterwards. But I want to see it.
That's fair. That's fair.
Saying don't do it to me, you could potentially be losing something great. You know what I mean? So I'd never prescribe to that. Nah, don't do it. Don't do it. Do it. If it's a failure, it's a failure, and then we'll all say you suck. Okay, but at least give it the college try.
The old college try. Okay.
You did say something that not changed my mind, but made me a little more intrigued. Where you talked about the potential of flashbacks, because my big concern with the Ahsoka series was how are they going to cover her whole story? Are they going to explain that to the casual audience that haven't seen Clone Wars or Rebels? But if they do some flashbacks with Hayden Christensen as Anakin, that gets me excited.
I think I might set you up for some disappointment there. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, no, there's. I love you, Goldman, but I'm going to be honest. The odds of them risking bringing back Hayden would.
I don't think it's a big risk or whatever.
It's not a.
I don't
It's,
think
it's
it's a
just
risk.
a lot.
I'd love to see it too, but it's just I don't. They're not going to do it.
Hayden's left the spotlight for so long. It'd be weird.
So then maybe I'm back on the other side, because Anakin's a big part of Ahsoka's life, and that needs to be addressed somehow in an Ahsoka series if it's live action, because you need to explain stuff to the casual audience. So if they can bring Hayden back, if there's like a report saying Hayden Christensen will have a small appearance as in flashbacks, sign me up. And I'm not I wouldn't say I'm opposed to it. Like, I'm open to anything. If they're going to make something, I'm always going to give it a chance. I'm always going for the best. Just in paper.
Sorry, I'm reading a comment. I wasn't laughing at you.
No,
I was laughing at. Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, fuck.
Damn it.
Well, you're talking about them bringing back Hayden.
Anakin.
Yeah, if they bring back Hayden with using him for flashbacks with the Ahsoka Tano series and kind of using that to set up a lot of stories.
So I'm not opposed to like any idea. I might be against it somewhat, but just because I might not like a concept on paper doesn't mean it can't be executed great. So if they do announce it, I'll be there day one to watch it. But just on paper, I'm not the biggest fan of it.
Understandable.
I got a little clip for you here. I don't know if you've ever seen this one.
I've seen this.
This cracks me up.
Be careful what you're saying about R4 because you can get bopped on the head real quick.
I love that.
The post of that jump away.
He's hitting them.
He's beating them up and everything. Yeah, that's a good one. Last question I'll answer from the comments right now is Mad Dog's Lego Studio. He says, do you think there's a possibility that Battlefront 3 is in the works in the far future? Now, since you said far future, Mad Dog, I will say it is possible. Near future, absolutely not. They said back in February of this year that they canceled a third Star Wars Battlefront game that was being worked on. I think after the first two, they're kind of like, you know what? We're okay. I think they're going to take a step back from it for a little bit. Yeah. Now, if they renew the deal with EA in 2023, Disney renews the deal, then maybe. But if not, I don't see that happening. And actually, you know what? That will be the last question we have that I'm going to ask you two guys, because I didn't ask it earlier that I really wanted to ask. Do you guys think they're going to renew the deal with EA in 2023? The deal for the EA and Star Wars was signed in 2013 for exclusive content creation in terms of games for EA, and that was between EA and Disney. That wasn't a deal that Lucasfilm made. That was a deal Disney made because they do not like making video games. Last thoughts on them potentially splitting ways. Lunga, do you think they should stay with EA in 2023, or do you think they should part ways and go to a different publisher or game studio?
After Fallen Order, they severely raised their stock, obviously.
Agreed.
And let's be fair, it's not like in history-wise, it's not like EA is a horrible game company. Historically, they're a decent game company. They put a lot of good stuff out. They just didn't know how to do Star Wars. But then, they did Fallen Order, and it's great. Now, to me, I think unless this Squadron game is like a complete horrible flop, as long as it does okay, I think they'll resign.
And on that note, I will bring the attention to Jedi Fallen Order. The sales for that game were 10 million last I recall. I don't remember how much Battlefront 2 did in sales. I know it probably did a lot more than that. I would say, since this is a smaller scale game, if it doesn't do more than Jedi Fallen Order, 10 million units, maybe if it doesn't even pass 8 million units, I think for EA that would be considered a little bit of under expectations. I wonder
especially if it's a multiplayer game.
Yes, I really wonder what their expectations for this game, and I don't think if it passes Jedi Fallen Order, it'll be a good sign. Goldman, your thoughts? Should they renew the EA deal in 2023?
Should they? It still depends on what's going to happen in these next 3 years. I'm open to the idea of not an exclusive license. I like Battlefront 2 overall. I like Fallen Order. That's 2 of the 3 major games they've made. So I say let them keep doing it. I don't want to get yelled at, but maybe not give EA exclusivity. to the Star Wars license.
I've heard that before on some of my Instagram page posts. People have said that they should really let it be a little bit more competitive between different developers, where someone like I don't know, like Rockstar or Ubisoft or just whoever, like a gaming company, pitches an idea to Lucasfilm or whoever's in charge with the EA or the Star Wars license when it comes to games at that moment, pitches that idea to them, and then they would decide if that happens or not. The exclusivity deal might be something I wouldn't mind them kind of leaning back on. I'd love to see Rockstar make a Star Wars game. They're the guys who made Grand Theft Auto. They're the guys who made Red Dead Redemption. I would love to see an open world Star Wars game made by those guys. Take all the time you need, baby. 10 years if you need to. And if it's an open world Star Wars game where I actually get to explore it, truly get to explore it, and there's like maybe even 5 planets, but each planet's like 30 hours worth of content and walking around. Buddy, let me tell you, I'll put 150 down on that easily.
As long as one of them.
If it's Rockstar, why do I have a feeling you're going to see Twi'leks being shoved into space cruisers? I'm worried about Rockstar doing any kind of stuff.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'm just saying they've done great work with the story and the open worldness. I think they should deserve a crack at something like Star Wars, at least in story aspect of it, because that's what EA's been very against. They've been against the ambitious Star Wars games, the storytelling Star Wars games. Basically, any Star Wars game you think the fans would like, EA goes, that's a great idea, but let's not do it. And it's just disappointing.
Star Wars GTC, Grand Theft Cruiser.
Cruiser. and they keep it around for what they've done with the Grand Theft Auto over the past decade and just constantly milk it for money. And every year, hey, another remaster.
The first when I did the PS5 event, the first game opening they talked about was bringing GTA 5 to PS5.
Jesus.
The first thing on the screen. I'm like, come on.
It reminds me of Skyrim, where I've been waiting for since 2011 for the freaking sequel to Elder Scrolls 6. I've never even played anything before Skyrim, but I still want the sequel. And they've just now, within like the past year, been like, guys, and we're all like, oh, it's coming out. They're like, no, but we're working on it finally. It's like, come on. Come on. What do you mean you're working on it? What have you done for the past 10 years?
You'll see it in 2030.
God, I'll have a kid by then and be like, I remember when the first one of these came. Oh, whatever, Dad. Skyrim was so long. Yeah, no, it's an unfortunate situation.
You mean when you played video games with your hands?
Xbox 360. Jesus Christ, how long ago was that? Some dinosaur stuff. I'm gonna pull out the Nintendo 64 or like a Game Boy Advance or something. They're gonna be like, hey, that's like a relic. That's like an iPhone. We don't even use those anymore. Amazing what the future may hold for us. But that's all the time we have for today, my friends. Thank you for joining us here on Chatooine. Last little thing I do want to bring up, Lunga. Can you give him a quick little rundown on what happened to our boy Luis Lecca?
Yeah, Luis Lecca, good friend of mine. And he's had Star Wars Only on and Golden before. Luis Lecca's channel's The Nerd Report. He also has another channel called Nuke the Fridge, which he had prior to Nerd Report. Luis Lecca has been for the past 10 years working in the entertainment industry. He's done interviews with lots of celebrities and directors and stuff, and he's been a part there with Access, talking to people and doing interviews. And that's what Nuke the Fridge revolves around, about movie news and industry stuff and talking to these people and getting the inside scoop of talking to actors and what they do. So he has his YouTube channels, 32,000 subs, and he's built up over the last 10 years. And he recently they demonetized his channel. They demonetized it for the reason of it's repetitive content or something like to those lines. When I don't know, him interviewing different actors and actresses and directors, I don't know how that's repetitive. I don't know how YouTube can sit here and make it sound like he's stealing content from somewhere else when it's literally him up there interviewing people over and over again. And every time he tries talking to them, they keep telling him things like, oh, sorry, there's nothing we can do. Just reapply in 30 days. And they don't give you any real reason for it. I was just looking for the last message he sent me where they told him what they said, but it was just there's no real reason for it other than YouTube being YouTube. and then most likely just some AI that's looking at it, or some person who's outsourced who's looking at it through the AI, and saying some nonsense. So everyone's right now on Twitter, adding YouTube support and YouTube about this, trying to get his channel monetized again, because he's literally done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
So
If you guys could help out with that, it would mean a lot, because this is something that could happen to any of us. I've kind of started doing YouTube a little bit more full time over the past 6 to 8 months, because I've been fortunate enough to build up a good enough audience and be a little frugal with my money and work on this enough to make a living off it. And that's been really beneficial for me. So I couldn't imagine someone trying to make a living off this, actually doing this as a job, and then one day being told, everything you've worked for is demonetized. Good luck. We'll see you in 30 days. So if you can, I put the link in the comments. I'm going to try to put it in the description once the video is uploaded. Go check out his channel, subscribe, go to Twitter and tag YouTube, the team support for them, Team YouTube on Twitter. It's one of those things where you hate hearing about it, and you think it would never happen to you until it does. And when you're in that situation, if you're not a big channel, like I remember this happened to someone through like the Geeks and Gamers stuff about a year ago, and they had a big help and support from that community. And it's great seeing those things, but sometimes smaller channels don't have that opportunity and that luxury and that fandom built around them. So if you just want to show the kindness of your heart, go check out Luis's channel and give him a shout out, give him some help with that, because I think he really needs it right now. So big shout out to Luis Leca, big friend of the channel for all of us. Really like that guy. Thank you all for coming back here on Chatooine. We've enjoyed it. We will be back on next Friday, June 19th, to talk about the reveal of Star Wars Squadrons and more. The links to Darth Daddy Lunga and the Goldman's channel are in the description, so make sure you go subscribe to them. We will see you next time, my friends, on the Chatooine Show.